What would you say are the best times to trade shares?
Again, for the US, which is my main market, is the US opens 2:30 UK time. Give it the first sort of 15 minutes. It's not essential, but try not trade in the first 15 minutes, or wait for the first 15 minutes. Same again at the end of the day. US markets close at 9. Try and avoid the first the last 15 minutes. Because sometimes you might not get the best prices. But for most people watching this, they're not going to be trading millions and millions. It's not really going to make much difference. Once the market's open, there's plenty of liquidity.
For initiating or exiting a trade, would you avoid then the opening and closing times of the auctions?
Yeah, that's the UK. The UK has auctions, the US doesn't. So this is another reason why you've got to watch it in the UK. It can be thin. So the initial opening price in the UK, where what they're trying to do is price discovery, trying to find buyers and sellers. Good example is buying strawberries at the market. If you're in the morning, you're probably going to buy your strawberries for £2. If it's the end of the day, guy's got strawberries, he wants to get rid of them, he'll probably give you 2 lots or 3 lots for £2 because he just wants to get rid of the stock. And that's what happens with markets. There's a bit of a price discovery in there. So initially, when they're trying to find what price they want to open a stock at, it can be a little bit bitty in the morning. But again, the US, we don't get that problem.
Is it wise to take a position on a stock just before a trading update is due?
Again, depends if you know something that nobody else does, but there's a question here in that there's almost going to be news stories, like for instance, America, you've got earnings, quarterly earnings. At the end of the day, if we start waiting and say, oh, I'm not going to place this trade because there's a news story coming out or something's coming out, there's almost something always coming out, shareholder deal or something like that. If there's a major story coming out and you're, let's say for instance, a small pharmaceutical stock which is about to announce the results of a drug, that's going to make a huge difference to the stock. All I would say is I actually would want to be in for that because it always gives us a chance to gain from it. Just maybe watch your risk, the amount that you're positioning, because the stock might have been looking really, really good, but it could really turn nasty on you based on that news story.
What about the term sell in May and go away? Is there a truth to that? Is there a better time of the year to trade?
There is seasonality, and if you look at something called the Stock Traders Almanac, my friend Jeff Hirsch writes that. The way that I put it is, in a normal summer, is most people don't want hot soup on a sunny day. They want ice cream or salad or whatever. And supermarkets watch this. They watch the temperatures because that can make the difference of what they're selling or not selling. Okay. So if we think about the stock market, there is a seasonality, and you can go back and look at the maths and say that the majority of the gains have come in the winter months, and actually sort of towards the end of October, November is the strong period, and then April, May tends to be the weaker period. So there is some seasonality in financial markets. Doesn't necessarily mean that every year you sell in May and buy back in October, because these are statistics over a long period of time. But if you look at the data, the majority of the gains, and again I follow the US markets, but the majority of gains in US markets have happened towards the end of the year and up to May.